The Michael Jackson biopic just dropped this weekend, and it's already crossed $95 million at the box office. But here's the thing, even with a 2 hour movie, there's so much they left out. Here are quick facts about Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 that most people still don't know. Let's get into it. Michael Jackson lied about his age on purpose. When the Jackson 5 were being trained by Motown legend Gordy, Gordy personally coached Michael on how to talk to the press, including telling him to lie about his age. But it wasn't just Michael. Motown directed all of the brothers to shave off years of their age. The whole group was repackaged to seem younger and more marketable. It was a calculated label move, not just a Michael thing. The biopic shows this scene, but kind of frames it around Michael specifically. The reality is Gordy was doing image control on the entire group. Gordy almost passed on the Jacksons entirely. Here's the irony. The man who eventually signed the Jacksons to Motown didn't even want to. Gordon had already dealt with the managing a child act with Stevie Wonder and wanted no part of another one. It was actually a young Motown executive named Suzanne DePass who pushed past the resistance and convinced him to give the boys an audition. Once he saw them perform, he was sold. DePass went on to shape the group's entire image and career, and she's actually a character in the new biopic. Michael's recording debut was at 9 years old. Most people think the Jackson 5's Motown era was their start, but the boys actually recorded their first song, Big Boy, on the small indie label in January 1986. Michael was just 9 years old. It didn't chart big, but it was big enough to get major labels paying attention. The Jackson 5 could have been the Jackson 6. Around 18 months before Michael was born, his mother Catherine gave birth to twins, Marlon and Brandon. Due to an extreme premature birth, Marlon survived, but Brandon passed away within 24 hours. If things had gone differently, they might have seen a sixth Jackson brother in that group. Michael fired his own dad while still living at home. When Michael's solo career took off, he hired music attorney John Branca, and from his very first assignment, it was to fire Joe Jackson as his manager. What we know for sure and know for certain is that Michael fired his own father while still living under the family roof. There's no confirmed record of exactly how Joe found out, but the biopic depicts Branca delivered the news via fax. Whether that's exactly how it happened or not, the fact that Michael did it all from inside his father's house is wild enough on its own. The Pepsi commercial nearly destroyed him. In 1984, during the filming of Pepsi Commercial, pyrotechnics misfired and Michael's hair and scalp caught fire. He suffered third-degree burns, permanent hair loss, and required multiple surgeries. According to people close to him, it triggered a dependence on pain medication that followed him for the rest of his life. Michael basically saved the Super Bowl halftime show. Before Michael Jackson performed the Super Bowl 27 in 1993, halftime shows were marching bands, literally. The NFL reached out to Michael because ratings were so bad, people would change the channel during halftime show. He agreed, performed, and the show got bigger ratings than the actual game. Every superstar halftime performance since, Beyonce, Prince, Rihanna, traces back to that moment. Billie Jean on MTV. When MTV launched in 1981, it was essentially an all-white playlist. CBS Records president Walter Yetnikoff threatened to pull all of their artists from MTV if they didn't add Michael. They caved, aired Billie Jean, and it changed the network forever. Billie Jean was then the first video by a black artist ever played on MTV. He never took a single dance lesson, but the moonwalk is complicated. Michael Jackson was entirely self-taught as a dancer, no formal training, ever. His biggest inspiration was James Brown, whose camel walk move is actually considered one of the earliest ancestors of the moonwalk. But here's where it gets interesting. The moonwalk itself wasn't Michael's invention either. A dancer named Jeffrey Daniel from the R&B group Shalimar had been performing the move and then called it the backslide on Soul Train as far back as 1974. Michael was a fan, tracked him down, and Daniel taught him the backslide. Michael even admitted in his own autobiography, writing that the moonwalk was already out on the street and he just enhanced it a little. He wasn't shy about it either. Daniel even received choreography credit on the Bad and Smooth Criminal videos, but Michael made it into the moonwalk. Michael owned over 10,000 books. Everyone knows about the Neverland Ranch, but Michael was also a voracious reader. He kept a personal library of more than 10,000 books covering history, psychology, science, and art. His favorite book as a teenager? Rip Van Winkle and the Old Man and the Sea. And that's a wrap, folks, on today's Deep Cut. Every story you just heard, documented, verified, and real. This is what we do here. We go past the surface, past the headlines, past what they wanted you to know, and find what's actually there. If this video gave you something to think about, talk about, made you want to send it to somebody, hit that subscribe button because we drop a new Deep Cut video every Sunday. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Drop a comment and let us know which story hit you the hardest and which one are you still thinking about. Thanks for tuning in on this very short episode. This has been the Deep Cut Stories, where the truth runs deeper than the headlines. And remember, every story has a deeper cut. We'll see you next Sunday.